What's going on, fam? It's your man DA. Welcome back. In this video, I want to share with you one of the ideas that has helped me a lot in my own life, and it's something that a lot of people remind me of every so often. And it's a secret. It's not really a secret. It's just something that we tend to forget, especially here in the West and in America, especially with this go 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 culture that we have. Um, I was having a conversation with an old timer today, and he was telling me about a project that he's been working on since 1992. Some really fascinating stuff. And one of the questions that I asked him was, what is it about this work in particular that's driving him, right? Like, what's giving him his energy to show up and do this thing 8 hours a day for 6 days a week, every week since 1992? He looked at me and he said, I don't know. He said it's as if this work has been given to him. And every time he hits a wall and he's ready to quit, he has a breakthrough. So every time he gets to a moment where he's ready to just walk away from it all, something happens to make him stay. And he said that he realized that the work wasn't coming from him. He said it wasn't his idea necessarily, but the work was happening through him. And so, although he's been actually physically working on this for almost 40 years, he said that he's like, it's not mine. I'm doing this to benefit somebody else. And later on in our conversation, I started sharing about a project that my wife and I are working on, opening up our wellness center. And I was like, yeah, we had these ideas and all these synchronicities occurred. It's like, yeah, so we decided, hey, we're going to make it happen. And he looked at me. He said, make it happen? It's like, what you mean, allow it to happen? And I was like, that's right. Like, we just got finished talking about what life looks like when you're allowing something to come through you, and out of you. And, just that fast. Right? We forget, we get into our language of we have to do it, we have to make it happen, because that's what we feel like we have to do in our lives. It's so common to feel as though all of the responsibility is on us. That if anything is going to happen, if anything's going to occur in our life, in our world, in our relationship, in our job, in our financial situation, and the lives of our children, we feel that we have to do it all. We have to see it, identify the problem, create a solution, and implement it. And if anybody gets in the way, we'll lay them out. But when you're walking a more spiritual, more mystical, a more understanding path, you have to slow down and recognize that, okay, hold up. I didn't make the sun come up today. I didn't feed any birds. I'm not even making my heart beat right now. Right? I haven't given myself one breath. I haven't reminded myself, I haven't forced myself to breathe one time. There's a greater power, there's a greater force at work than my own will. Now, don't get it twisted. The human will, it's been said, the human will, once it sets its target on a specific goal, nothing in creation can stop it, right? My mind even goes back to the Tower of Babel, right? All the people speaking the same language. They said, hey, let's build this tower to heaven because God flooded this joint once and he might do it again. And we want to be clear out of the way, right? And so God came down and said, these people are one and they all speak the same language. It's like, they have this crazy imagination. Nothing's going to be impossible for them, right? They were unified in their will and in their direction. And the Creator acknowledged that if things stayed this way, they would have been able to do anything. So the human will is powerful. And at the same time, just as God came down and sort of put the kibosh on the whole Tower of Babel situation, there are, one of my favorite authors, Mitch Horowitz, he says that there are countervailing forces at work in the universe. So while you have the universal laws that we work with, the law of attraction, law of compensation, law of cause and effect, there are also countervailing laws and forces that run up against our will. And we just have to be real. Like there are times in life when we set out to do something, and no matter what we say or do, it doesn't happen. Or we set a goal in our mind and we say, okay, this is how it's going to get done. And we start out, we get some success, we get some wins, but eventually we hit a wall and we can't get any further. And so we reevaluate our strategy, we reevaluate our plan, and we set out to start again. But this time we're having a little bit more difficulty. The same energy that we once felt, it's not there anymore. What's happening in those moments? Based on my experience and just all the wisdom that I've studied and have absorbed over the decades, is that we have stopped allowing the Spirit to move us. There are times when our will and the will of the Spirit are in sync, I'll say. And so we can set out to do something. We can believe that, hey, it's all us, we got this. And the Spirit's just walking alongside of us like, yep, you got it, keep going. But then there are other times where we set out to do one thing and the Spirit's like, what are you doing? Like, and so it creates this friction. And that friction that we feel is expressed in frustration. It comes out as doubt. Fear may arise. Because when you have the wind of the Creator at your back, kind of pushing you into something, kind of guiding you into something, it feels easy. Yeah, you might feel a little trepidation at first. You might question your ability to get it done, but there's never really a moment where you're like super unsure of yourself. You fully and wholly recognize that, okay, this is something I can do. Even if you can't see the entire way, that's another thing. Even if you can't see the entire way, you know that at some point in time, you're going to get to where it is you want to be. And the best and the fastest way to get there is to let go of how the path unfolds. Let go of forcing something to occur. Let go of making it happen. I was telling my wife the other day, we aren't responsible for making anything happen. We aren't responsible for the how. And all the masters and wise teachers throughout the years, all of the wisdom literature that we have up to now has basically said the same thing. In the Bible, it said to write the vision and make it plain. Neville Goddard said, live in the feeling, live in the end, live in the feeling of the wish fulfilled. All we're called to do is to know exactly what it is we want and where it is we desire to go. We are not given the responsibility of mapping out how exactly we get there, or deciding, okay, we're gonna go 3 paces and turn left, and then we'll go another quarter mile down the road. We're gonna turn left at this green light down there, and then we'll get there, easy peasy. If only it were that simple, right? If only things were that simple. But fortunately for us, it's not. And I'm grateful for that, because it's a perpetual reminder that our lives are part of the greater life. My life, your life, even the lives of my children are all parts of life. And life has a movement to itself. Life has a will of its own. And to get in sync with that will, to get in sync with that movement, only helps accelerate where it is we're going. And when we create in our minds our destination, right? Some people call it your why. When you create your destination, when you see your why clearly, when you know what it is you're doing, or when you know why you're doing what you're doing, where you're going, you're much more prepared for whatever arises on the road. And when you release that control, when you release the necessity to have it your way, you open yourself up to learn exactly what it is God has for you to learn, and you actually end up at your destination better off than if you would have had a straight line to it from the moment you decided to go. All of our journeys are designed to teach us, to train us, to cure us, right? I want to use the word purify, but not in a moralistic kind of way. But it's just to burn off all the impurities, right? To strengthen us under pressure, right? We're given these heavy weights, we're given these difficult situations, we're given these tough times because there's something in us that needs to be worked out, or there's something in us that needs to be grown up. And the only way that happens is through difficulties and complexities. Because if everything in life were easy, we would never grow. We would never feel the need or the desire to become more if everything is always just handed to us. Right? That's exactly why, as a parent, I don't want to give my children everything. And parents, you'll say the same thing. You want to give them everything because why? You don't want them to be spoiled. Spoiled children reek of entitlement and laziness and just a weak kind of essence that doesn't produce much but causes a lot of headaches for other people. Right? They expect things to be done their way the first time, all the time. And I don't want to contribute those type of human beings to humanity. We have enough. You feel me? So at the end of the day, man, what I want to leave you with is this. Learn to let go. Relax into the state of not just complete offhandedness, but you're controlling your vehicle with a loose grip. You're holding on to your wills and your desire very loosely. Like, you're not tightly clenching your fist, but you're just, you're keeping it open enough for something to get out if it needs to, and is open enough for something to come in if need be. It's kind of like this. It's this idea of this effortless effort, right? It's like you're doing the work, and at the same time, you're free of the desire to have the outcome be any particular way. And once you do that, once you step into that energy of allowing life, then you can begin to play and co-create with the universe. And that's when you really begin to see the adventure of life, because no situation then is happening to you. Then nothing is necessarily coming at you, but everything is just another opportunity. Every circumstance becomes another chance to grow, another opportunity to see something else about yourself. It becomes another moment to discover something about the God in you. That's really what this is about. What is God really like? We only know as God expresses through us on a personal level. And we don't get to know God any more than when we are in tough times, when we need to dig beyond our own innate conscious abilities. So I want to free somebody up with this. You don't have to do it all on your own. You can let go and relax into what is unfolding and work with what is unfolding instead of trying to make it happen. All right? It says in Proverbs to trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not to your understanding, but in all your ways acknowledge him and he'll direct your path. That's really all we got to do. However you acknowledge the Creator, the source of all life, the ground of being, however you acknowledge that presence, that power, that's what we're called to do. Recognize that, okay, there's something moving through me. What is it that wants to unfold? And then whatever shows up, do that thing, one step at a time. Y'all be good.